Advanced English Arabic Learning Session 101. May I just ask you one more question? Shoot. Claudia felt a pain shoot through her chest. A road that seemed to just shoot upwards at a terrifying angle. Drivers could lose their licenses for shooting too many red lights. She has just been commissioned to shoot a video. Some years one or other plant fails to shoot. They induce buds to shoot. He shot dope into his arm. He nipped off the new shoots that grew where the leaves joined the stems. Activities include a weekly rifle shoot. He did not go through the city but skirted it. The fields that skirted the highway were full of cattle. The river valley skirts along the northern slopes of the hills. They are both skirting the issue. Shoot, it was a great day to be alive, shit. The company must stop shooting itself in the foot if it wants to get over its troubles. She'll be back in a minute, she's just nipped out to the shops. I'm just popping out to the shops, do you need anything while I'm out? I'm shooting out to the shops for a paper. She says I showed her up in front of her friends. He showed us up when he arrived drunk and started arguing. Fritz was the first to show up for breakfast. When it comes to recycling, he talks the talk but he doesn't walk the walk. We all know that he can talk the talk, but he's also walked the walk. The world belongs to those who are ready to walk the talk. We may not look like true rock jocks yet, but we talk the talk. He looked inquiringly at Pete, who shrugged his shoulders. She lifted her shoulders in a dismissive shrug. They betrayed their country and sided with the enemy. Nowadays paprika is produced using the traditional methods. We add the paprika and tomato paste and blend it in well. Paprika is a spice made from dried and ground red peppers. He paused a moment for his words to sink in. I heard what you said, but it took a while for it to sink in. The pace never slackens. He slackened his grip. I slipped over on the ice. A beautiful woman's address was never likely to slip his mind. A single slip could send them plummeting down the mountainside. We gave them the slip at the station. The film has been slagged by many critics for its improbable plot. She was always slagging him off. She often slags off other musicians to try to make herself look good. The concert was terrible and all the papers slagged the band off. The burning liquid iron was forming a scum of slag. A new slant on science. Has your roof a sharp slant? To get a new slant on the political situation. Alex had let slip he was married. Don't let it slip that we hadn't planned on inviting her. He let it slip that he hadn't actually read the report. By mistake he let slip that he's looking for a better job. The errors in question are rather more than slips of the pen. He's a slob and expects others to clean up after him. He took a slug of whiskey. The companies are slugging it out in court. The government's decision smacks of hypocrisy. Either side could break the agreement if it were expedient to do so. This is a very warped, although certainly expedient analysis. The company may do anything necessarily expedient for the management of the affairs. To be expedient in the public interest. Holding a public inquiry into the scheme was not expedient. An act of political expediency. As a matter of expedience, we will not be taking on any new staff this year. This system has universality, expedience to use, and expansibility in practice. The trailing lead got snarled up in a bramble bush. My line was all snarled up after I caught that last fish. Snarls of wild raspberry plants. The coach became snarled up in traffic. Why don't we go brambling someday? Monetary compensation was offered to soften the blow. But the promise of another job softened the blow. But the promise of another job cushioned the blow. A major injection of private cash could soften the blow for the taxpayer. The share price has softened recently. If only we knew the sort of people she was mixing with. Start your kitchen reorganization with a sort out. He has already made a splash in New York for his design of the store interior. They met up and split the booty. It could ultimately prove as significant an achievement as splitting the atom. My head is splitting. Splits appeared in the decaying planks. I almost split a gut laughing over that comment. What happens in this video will make you split your sides laughing. I wouldn't want to spoil your fun. She was afraid of spoiling Christmas for the rest of the family. I've got some ham that'll spoil if we don't eat it tonight. The last thing I want to do is spoil Thomas. Breakfast in bed, you're spoiling me. The looters carried their spoils away. They gave him a quick sponge down. He edged closer, clearly intending to sponge money from her. Angela was a very spruce and tidy person. Spruces are excellent as windbreaks and shelter belts. The fresh shoots of many spruces are a natural source of vitamin C. Norway spruce needs to be watered when the soil dries out. We spruced up the room with a fresh coat of paint. In spring the garden is a feast of blossom. The answer had been staring him in the face. Our team was staring defeat in the face. The man grudgingly handed over a stash of notes. They finally hit the big time with their 6th album. When he hit the big time, he left her and traded up. The hooligans waited in when they saw fans from the other team. A watered-down version of the book. Watered-down wine. Staff at the club had been watering down the drinks. The Army's report of its investigation was considerably watered down. We waved our farewells. The flag waved in the wind. Her hair had been carefully waved for the evening. Gulls and cormorants bobbed on the waves. He gave a little wave and walked off. His hair was drying in unruly waves. People spoke well of him. She would marry well or not at all. She could well afford to pay for the reception herself. It would be well to know just what this suggestion entails. Well, I suppose I could fit you in at 3.45. Leith was well and truly rattled. Trains rattled past at frequent intervals. We whiled a couple of hours away playing computer games. We whiled away the afternoon with a walk around the garden. A diversion to while away the long afternoons. It's an ill wind that blows nobody any good. After the exams had finished, they had a party. We arrived before the train had left. They wiped the floor with us in a 3-0 win. An amnesty for political offenders which would wipe the slate clean and bury the past. They had worked him over a little just for the fun of it. Her father would have had words with her about that. Word got around that he was on the verge of retirement. I'll be good to you always, I give you my word of honor. Slander is a defamatory statement made by word of mouth. A coil of copper wire. She wired her friend for advice. He was expecting a friend in Australia to wire him $1,000. He conducted business by wire. He may not have what it takes to lead from wire to wire. The state legislature allows very little wiggle room in how to design the ballot. So be willing to leave a little wiggle room in your schedule. Dealers always jack up the price so that they have enough wiggle room to reduce the price. I haven't left myself much wiggle room, either. Don't try and wriggle out of your contract. He always manages to wriggle out of any extra work we get. He was supposed to be in charge but tried to wiggle out. I wiggled out of having to work late. He wriggles like a worm when I tickle him. He works sporadically at part-time jobs. The legacy license of First Gulf Bank. She's so snooty, she never speaks to the neighbors. Nobody is particularly snooty in this world, right? A breakfast cereal commercial. I love that commercial. Tom changes channels during commercials. I would never feed my dog commercial dog food. Commercial is defined as a paid advertisement. A snooty double mint commercial. Class dismissed. The end. Coming next. Session 102.